a phenomenal inclusive environment for your children. I think it's a built-in community that supports itself. So I think there's lots of opportunity to grow as part of a community.
I'm Glenn Herbert, and I'm an editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private schools to gain insights into their programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administrators. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
I guess it kind of started with my middle child. She was needing just some extra support in reading when she hit grade 1. And then at that point, we started looking for another school other than the publicly funded system, thinking that she would get a little bit more support. I did quite a bit of research, kind of looked around, and I don't know, I fell in love with APA. We went for a visit. She loved the school right away. It had to do with right fit, I guess, is kind of where it began. And my middle girl kind of fit right in, and it was like a little community and very small classroom sizes. And she went from sort of a reluctant reader to reading to an auditorium full of people within a couple of months. So it was like very profound, I guess is the right word. Just a very profound difference in sort of her self-confidence and wanting to read in front of other people. So I think that's where it started for me. And then shortly after that, I have 3 girls. And shortly after that, we decided to move all of our girls to the school. We just loved it so much. So yeah, for sure. So like I said, initially it was just with my middle girl. Like I said, very reluctant reader. Now she's top of her class, and she's just done fantastically academically. But I think more than just the academics of it, she started coming home and asking questions and writing down responses. So when things weren't quite going her way, or things didn't go the way she expected, she started writing down sort of things about, what should I do in this circumstance? What was I thinking when it happened? What was expected of me? And then applying it to her home life as well. So it was really nice. Like I said, the teachers there, I think, go beyond just the academics of school life. They sort of focus on leadership and mentorship and just the social being of school life, and then sort of model that through the behavior with the children as well. So a lot of that sort of overlapped into our home life as well. Much more self-confident kids, and their ability to self-regulate themselves, for sure. Huge improvement that way. It really has been quite remarkable. Oh boy, that's a hard one. So I guess I start with my littlest. She's in grade 1 now. I think for her, there's security in knowing the people around her and sort of knowing what the expectations are, and then being able to meet them. So it's very, very clear expectations for my littlest one, and being able to meet those expectations is probably not that she'd probably say that, but is huge in sort of how she moves through the day. I think she likes the games and they move, so they're not stuck in a classroom all day long. They're kind of moving between classrooms, and for her, that movement and going from class to class, I think for her is big. For my middle one, I think definitely the social part of it. You know, APA is very much community, and the grade levels all interact with each other. So it's given her an opportunity to sort of get to know the older kids and play with the littler ones. And I think for her, a lot of it is social. And then for my oldest, I think she's just comfortable. There's sort of not the stress of keeping up with anybody, or sort of the only competition is yourself. And so I think for her, she's eased into APA in a really wonderful way, and you know, with a different level of maturity than maybe she was at her other school, because there's no pressure there to sort of fit a mold, if you will. Everybody is sort of recognized for their differences, and they're celebrated. So if you're different, it's okay. Well, I mean, I can definitely, well, I could speak to so many points. I love the school. Um, I love the sense of community. I think they meaning sort of the teachers, really go above and beyond to get to know their students and to understand them and support them. So I think from my end, you know, again, looking at my middle child, I was spending sometimes 2 or 2.5 hours at the end of a school day trying to catch her up. And so from my point of view, you know, I no longer have to do that. And like that stopped as soon as she moved into the school. So it wasn't like it's something that sort of evolved over time. I think there's a sense of relief for me in that I know that she's getting the support she needs, and that she's not overwhelmed, and that she doesn't feel, there's not the added pressure of having to worry about giving them the extra support at the end of my work day or at the end of her school day. It's built into the system. To be honest with you, I think, I mean, even through the pandemic, transitioning from online learning to classroom learning has been seamless. The teachers are super dedicated. My kids have not missed a beat. Really, I have no compunction in saying that I don't think they've missed any of an academic year at all. They've kept pace, and the teachers and the principals there have done a tremendous job of adjusting for everybody. And like I said, really quite seamless to go between classroom. And in fact, you know, even when they were back in and my kids were still at home, my kids were in the classroom with all their friends just online. So it really was remarkable to see. So, you know, as people kind of moved in and out of that system, they just kind of adapted, and the kids were virtually in the same classroom with their peers. So, you know, there was still some connection there, and it was just so well done. I really don't have anything bad to say about the school. I think it's a great community. They work hard at making it a community. This year's been challenging because usually the school does all kinds of barbecues and ski trips and skating trips and swimming trips, and like there's character and education where it's, you know, you go in for breakfast and then, you know, they sort of have assemblies. But the school has still kept those kinds of things. It's virtually, but there's just such an effort to maintain the community with the staff and the siblings and the students, and it's just really inclusive. I think that the school is a little bit deceiving actually when you come upon it. It looks like such a small school. And I probably had driven past it many, many times before I started looking into the school. Um, it's kind of just kind of it's just kind of there, and it looks just very tiny, but when you actually go inside, it's a lot bigger than it looks. It kind of goes back, instead, like, it's not a wide school, it just kind of goes back, and there's a lot more classrooms and a lot more space than I imagined. So I think that was really kind of surprising, because I kind of thought it was smaller than it was, and then I went in, I was like, wait a second, this building keeps going. Oh, I think leadership and sort of self-regulation, leadership, um, a real big sense of community, I think are huge in that school. You know what? I don't know that there is a set sort of type that go to the school. I would say that the school does such a good job at community, and sort of building it into their program. So they do lots of sort of, I think one of my sort of nicest surprises too about that school, now that I'm thinking back on it, is they do something called date night. And so they offer parents an opportunity to bring the students and their siblings in for a night. And then they run a whole program through the evening, and let the parents go out on a date, and look after everybody's kids for them. And they do it through, they usually pick a charity, and then you just donate to the charity. And they do a lot of that. So they, almost everything that they do at that school is sort of like a charity organization, or has something to do with giving back to the community. And so I think for the school, there isn't a typical family that goes there, because what happens is when you decide to go to that school, you kind of get wrapped up in the community that they've created. Um, and because it's kind of like an extended family, if you will, it's almost like instead of like a hierarchical kind of setting that you would get in an institution, it's more of a clan, like an extended family kind of feel to it. Um, and the environment is just so, there's everybody's treated with the same respect, and everybody sort of knows what the expectations are. They're very well laid out, so there's nothing to sort of guess, and then people just kind of fall into that community that they've created, where the interactions with students and staff and parents are all at the same sort of level, and with the same amount of respect and um, attention to the individual, that when you come into the community, you kind of just follow that along, and it's built in, if you will. I think probably my oldest would say the ski trip every year is one of her favorites. She goes off onto the hills with her friends from school, um, and they get to kind of experience kind of social time away from parents up on a ski hill, but still close enough that it's just a fun day. And I think my oldest, she's 11. I think that's probably her favorite kind of. If I had to pick one for her, that would probably be one that stands out for her. Um, Morgan, I think she loves show and tell at the school. So, it's an opportunity for her to bring something in and talk about it. And if you've ever met my 6-year-old, that's all she does is talk. So, so for her, that would be huge. Um, And I think for Shannon, I would say probably, I think probably one of the most memorable ones for her would be opening. They had some veterans come in and talk, and it was in her grade 1 class for Mrs. Coe. And Mrs. Coe, it was for Remembrance Day actually. They had some people come in, and Shannon provided the welcoming statement to an audience of probably well over 100 people. And for her, I think that was huge because she had been such a reluctant reader. She just felt so proud of herself, and the staff and students were so supportive. So yeah. Um, wow, they're amazing. I don't have anything but great things to say about them. Um, I think Mrs. Vissers does a great job of welcoming people. She's always greets everybody with a smile, sort of sets the tone for the whole school, really. The interaction, with the teachers is always just so kind. And I think Mr. Cosentino has great timing. So whenever something gets too serious or something's really hard, somebody's having a hard time, he's the one who will cut in with a great quip or a great joke and start making, start having people laugh. So he's got great comedic relief. My oldest girl loves her teachers. She's excited. She's excited this year to have Mr. Page, and she's excited next year to have Mr. Feraldo. My kids really like the teachers, which is important. The staff do an amazing job at just being accessible, I think is huge. And I think one of the things that I really like about the school is that, again, academics are important, but they're not the only thing. I think the school works really hard at building social skills and leadership skills. So many of the teachers have weekly meetings in their classrooms. And in those weekly meetings, they talk about sort of the social interactions with other students. They'll often talk about misunderstandings and kind of collectively solve the problem as a group or discuss it with the group. And so consequently, I find my girls are just better equipped to deal with sort of this social or group dynamics and being able to problem solve their way out of sort of social situations, or to better understand, to take the other person's perspective, to take a step back and say, well, how is that other person feeling? And then reapproach the problem with a different solution that's maybe just not their own perspective or from their own point of view. So I think they do like a really great job with that as well. And on top of the academics, I mean, all of my girls are doing phenomenal at this school. So, obviously the academics are important. They're learning how to learn. I think they're getting a great experience here on how to do that, because everything is sort of catered to their strengths. And they're supported through weaknesses. I think they're just excelling. I've seen tremendous gains in all of the children's academic levels. I think from that perspective, the teachers and the staff they are above and beyond sort of what you would expect. Um, so I would say probably the three reasons why I would choose APA would be a phenomenal inclusive environment um, for your children. I think it's a built-in community that supports itself. So I think there's lots of opportunity to grow as part of a community for sure. And then I would say just the academic support, the academic and social support are built into the system as well. So it really does tick off all my boxes. What advice would I give? You know, I guess the biggest piece of advice I give is parents know their own children. And that I think that every parent will know when they've found the right school and the right fit. And if you haven't found it, then keep looking because it is out there. I think that's the biggest lesson to be learned, right? I think parents know their kids, and when you're out there looking at other schools and trying to figure out what's right for your child, um, you'll know your child and you'll know where they'll fit. Um, and hopefully the schools that you're going to try on have a day where your child can go and experience the school. I know APA does. My children all did that before they attended. They went for a day and experienced the school. So I think it's really super important to do that as well, because ultimately it's about how comfortable the child is there.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.